Sometimes the biggest threats to our health don't come from a frontal assault, but from something more like an inside job. Today, we are diving deep into the world of what I'm calling bacterial accomplices. These are the microbes that are just hanging around, waiting for the perfect moment to cause chaos when our defenses are down. So, to get us started, let me throw a question at you. What in the world could a course of antibiotics and a routine visit to the dentist possibly have in common? I mean, think about it. One is designed to wipe out bacteria, and the other can sometimes, accidentally let them into your system. They seem like complete opposites, right? Well, the answer is that they can both, inadvertently, hire a bacterial accomplice. They can create a disturbance, disrupt the peace, or just crack open a door just enough for an otherwise quiet microbe to suddenly become a major problem. It's all about opportunity. All right, let's start with our first case study, the antibiotic aftermath. We take these things to get better, right? But what we don't always realize is that sometimes we're basically just rolling out the red carpet for an even more dangerous guest. And here is that guest, Clostridioides difficile, or as most people call it, C. diff. This little guy can actually live in our gut totally harmlessly, just laying low in a dormant spore state, kind of like it's hibernating, just waiting for its big break. So how does this hostile takeover happen? It's a chain reaction, really. It starts when a patient takes a broad-spectrum antibiotic. Now, that antibiotic does a great job killing the infection it's supposed to, but it's not very selective. It also wipes out tons of the good protective bacteria in your gut. With all the competition suddenly gone, those dormant C. diff spores wake up and they start multiplying like crazy. And then they release these powerful toxins that just wreck the lining of your intestine, causing this incredibly painful condition. Okay, so wiping out our own defenses is one way these accomplices get an advantage. But what happens when the initial infection is really just act one of a much bigger play? Now we're going to look at how a simple case of food poisoning can sometimes be just the opening scene for something way more serious down the line. First up, we have Campylobacter jejuni. This is one of the most common culprits behind food poisoning anywhere in the world. You know the drill. You get sick, you feel terrible for a few days, and then for most people, you get better. But for a small number of people, the real fight is just beginning. And the reason why is this fascinating but pretty scary mechanism called molecular mimicry. You can think of it like a case of mistaken identity on a microscopic level. Your immune system creates antibodies, like little wanted posters, to hunt down the Campylobacter. But the problem is, parts of the bacteria look almost identical to parts of your own nerve cells. So your immune system, trying to do its job, gets confused and starts attacking your own body. It's a classic case of friendly fire. Now for our second gut bug, Shigella dysenteriae. Just like Campylobacter, it can cause some really nasty diarrhea. But its delayed attack is completely different. This one doesn't rely on mistaken identity. It brings its own weapon to the fight. And that weapon is called the Shiga toxin. When it gets into your system, it can lead to something called hemolytic uremic syndrome, or HUS. And trust me, this is devastating. It literally shreds your red blood cells, tanks your platelet count, and can cause your kidneys to shut down completely. It's a direct toxic assault. So let's put these side by side because this is the really critical takeaway. You've got two different gut infections that lead to two totally different, terrifying syndromes later on. With Campylobacter, it tricks your immune system into attacking your nerves, causing Guillain-Barré syndrome. With Shigella, it uses a toxin to directly poison the blood vessels in your kidneys, causing HUS. Two accomplices, two completely different weapons of choice. So far, we've seen bacteria that exploit a disrupted ecosystem, and others that use a delayed weapon. But what about the ones that are even simpler? The ones that just walk in through an open door, a physical breach that was left unguarded. And here are two perfect examples. On one hand, you have a simple dental procedure. That can be just enough of an opening for normal, harmless bacteria from your mouth to slip into your bloodstream. If they find their way to the heart, they can cause a life-threatening infection called endocarditis. And then, on the other hand, you have patients with sickle cell disease. Because of their condition, they can have areas of bone that don't get enough blood flow, making that tissue weak. And it turns out, this weakened bone is a prime target for salmonella, leading to a really serious bone infection. So, after all these stories of bacterial betrayal, what's the big picture? What's the main takeaway here? Well, it seems pretty clear that our health isn't just about fighting off invaders. It's about maintaining this incredibly delicate balance within our own bodies. Yeah, the lessons here are pretty stark. Everyday events can create huge opportunities for bacteria.
The very medicines we use to heal can sometimes throw things out of whack. A simple infection can have devastating long-term consequences, and our own personal health can create unique vulnerabilities. Understanding all these connections is just absolutely key to appreciating how complex our biology really is.
And that really brings us to one final, pretty important question. If our body is truly this complex ecosystem teeming with trillions of microbes, are we actually being good stewards of it? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.